Israel. Learn English podcast with שפות-שלי, the world's best language school. Let's go.
ברוכים הבאים לפודקאסט של שפות-שלי, בית ספר לאנגלית ושפות נוספות. אני אריאל, שמח להיות כאן איתכם היום שוב. ברוכים הבאים. אם אתם פעם ראשונה שהתקלתם בפודקאסט שלנו, אז אנחנו בית ספר לשפות המוביל בישראל. אנחנו מלמדים אנגלית ועוד 9 שפות בשיטה מאוד מאוד חדשנית, שתעזור לכם לדיבור מעשי, לא בתיאוריה, לקחת את כל המבנה שפה, אבל להטמיע אותו בחיי יום-יום, בעסקים, בנסיעה לחול, בללמוד לתקשר כמו שאתם תמיד חלמתם. אנחנו צוות של מורים מארצות הברית או מאנגליה, צוות של מורים מקצועיים וגם דוברי עברית שמלמדים אנגלית באופן שהוא מאוד מאוד חדשני, וכמובן אתם יכולים ליצור אותנו קשר לפרטים נוספים דרך הוואטסאפ במספר 053-550 או 1976, או אתם פשוט יכולים גם להתקשר אלינו או לשלוח אימייל ל-info@שפות-שלי.co.il אם תרצו לשמוע פרטים נוספים על איך אנחנו מלמדים ועל הקורסים שלנו כאן ומה אנחנו עושים בפועל. אם אתם תרצו לשמוע קצת יותר על השיטת הוראה שלנו, תיכנסו לספוטיפיי, לפודקאסט הזה, אתם תראו בטריילר פרק שקוראים לו למה אני מבין אנגלית אבל קשה לי לדבר. זה יעזור לכם פשוט להתמודד עם הקושי של השליפה בזמן אמת ולהבין יותר לעומק המדע מאחורי השיטת הוראה שלנו. Alright, אז תודה רבה שהצטרפתם אליי כאן היום. היום יש נושא מאוד מאוד מעניין, המדריך המלא לדייט ראשון, ל-first dates. יש לנו כאן שיח בין גרג וג'ינה, שאתם הולכים להזין כרגע, שהם הולכים לעבור איתכם על המדריך. כולו, הרמה הזאת של השיחה היא רמה בינונית. שיהיה לכם המון 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 בהצלחה והזנה נעימה, וכמובן אם יש לכם שאלות, אוצר מילים, שאלות לגבי אוצר מילים מתקדם גם כמובן, אנחנו נעלה כרטיסיות גם מהשיח הזה, שתוכלו לעבור עליו קצת יותר לעומק. השיח נמצא, הכרטיסיות נמצאים בתיאור של הפרק הזה, של הפודקאסט הזה. אז שיהיה לכם הזנה נעימה. Let's take it, let's move over to Greg and Gina.
Okay, so get this. We're doing a deep dive on like a mountain of first date advice.
Seriously, I think we have enough here for like a whole workshop. You know,
Right.
You've clearly figured out that the dating game is no joke.
Uh-huh.
And everybody from your best friend to like your grandma seems to have an opinion on how to ace that first date.
Yeah, first dates, they never really like go out of style, do they?
Right.
It's funny how that whole thing of meeting someone for the first time, those first like little sparks, it always,
It's exciting.
keeps us all coming back for more. But let's be real for a sec, because sometimes all the advice out there,
Oh, yeah,
it can get to be a bit much, you know what I mean?
totally.
So what we're going to do today, our little mission, is we're ditching those generic rule books. We're tossing them right out the window, and we're going to zero in on the stuff that really clicks with you.
I love that.
Your own dating style, what you're really looking for in like a potential partner.
Yes. No cookie cutter solutions here.
Exactly.
We're just going deep on what makes a first date like truly successful.
That's it.
And speaking of success, one thing that really stuck with me from one of these sources was this whole idea of like keeping your expectations in check.
Yeah.
It's so easy, especially these days with all the dating apps and stuff,
It's true.
to go into it thinking, this is it. I'm going to find the one right now.
Right.
But this source reminded me that like a first date,
Yeah.
it's really just a chance to like see if there's even a tiny spark, to get a little peek into someone else's world and just like see if just maybe your worlds could,
Vibe together.
Yeah, exactly. Vibe together.
It's chemistry, right?
Yes. Total chemistry check, not like a lifetime compatibility test.
You got it.
Okay, so it's funny you mentioned expectations, though, because I don't know if you've noticed this, but it feels like, especially with social media and everything,
Absolutely.
it's like everybody's expectations are all messed up,
Oh, 100%.
It's like this a constant highlight reel
Yeah.
of like perfect relationships and, amazing dates.
Sure. And you're comparing your like chapter 1 to someone else's like,
Exactly.
perfectly edited like Instagram, like,
It's so unrealistic.
it's so not real. Yeah.
Okay, so let's say you've managed your expectations.
Yeah.
You're not comparing yourself to like Instagram influencers.
Right. what about where you actually go on this first date?
Yeah, the setting, right?
Yes, the setting, the vibe.
The venue.
So this source had some really, honestly, kind of wild ideas for first date spots.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Like what?
They covered the classics, obviously, like a cute coffee shop, maybe a chill bar.
Sure, the go-tos.
But then, get this, they suggested a pottery class.
What?
A pottery class for a first date.
Wow. Now that's thinking outside the box.
Right. Like, how fun would that be?
That's really interesting because I think the place you choose for a date, it actually says a lot about, like, what you're looking for,
Oh, tell me more about that.
Like, going for something like pottery, it kind of tells me you want something, like, playful. You're not afraid to get a little messy,
Yeah, like embracing the imperfections from the get-go. Exactly. And it makes you wonder, like, who picked the spot?
Oh, that's a good point.
Right. Like, did they both agree on it, or was it just one person's idea? And, like, what does that say about, how they approach dating in general?
Ooh, I like it. You're making me rethink my whole let's just grab drinks strategy.
There you go. See?
Okay, so let's fast forward a little bit. The venue is set. You've got your expectations in check.
Yes.
Now it's all about that first impression.
Yeah. Gotta nail it.
And let me tell you, this source, they went all in. They had a whole list of do's and don'ts for first date success.
Okay, I'm always a little, hesitant about those really strict lists of, like, what to do and what not to do.
Oh, I get it.
But I do think they can be, like, a useful starting point, especially if we kind of dig into the why behind the advice.
That makes sense.
So, for example, they had the classic, don't be glued to your phone.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
Which on the surface seems like, well, duh, right?
Right.
But let's think about it for a second. Like, what does it actually say to the other person when we're constantly checking our phones, even if it's just for a sec?
Okay, yeah, what message are we really sending when we do that?
Right. It's not just about, needing to see that notification. It's like this whole other thing.
It's true.
Like, we're saying, I'm bored, or I don't really care about what you have to say.
Ouch. Yeah, that's rough.
And ultimately, it's like we don't respect their time,
Right, like they made an effort to be there.
Exactly.
And we're basically saying, but not as much as whatever's happening on my phone.
Well, yeah, pretty much.
That's a really good point. Like, even if we're just scrolling out of habit, it still sends a pretty clear message.
Oh, for sure.
Like, hey, I'm not really present right now.
Not really here.
And that's not a good look on a first date. Or any date, for that matter.
Not a good look, no. It's interesting, though, right? Like, even with how connected we all are these days,
Yeah.
that basic idea of being present and respectful,
Yeah.
like, it still matters.
Absolutely.
And actually, speaking of being present,
Yes.
there's this one do from the source that I thought was really smart.
Oh, tell me about it.
They said, like, make sure you ask about what your date's really into, their passions,
I love that because it's such a simple thing, but it really shows you care,
Totally. And it goes even deeper than that. You know what I mean?
What do you mean?
Okay, so, like, on the surface, it's just a question, right?
Yeah.
But actually, there's all this research that shows that when we get to talk about something we're passionate about,
Mm-hmm.
and the person we're with, like, they're genuinely curious, our brains, they release dopamine.
Ooh, dopamine, the feel-good chemical.
Exactly. So by asking about their passions, you're not just making conversation, you're actually,
Yeah, you're creating a connection.
you're creating a whole vibe,
Yeah.
and they feel seen, like, understood.
Okay, I'm like totally reframing my whole first date approach after this.
Like, see, it's the little things.
It's the little things. Okay, so we've talked about what to ask about,
Yeah.
but what about like the unspoken stuff?
You mean like body language?
Yes, body language, because this source got really into all those nonverbal cues.
Oh, it's a goldmine, if you know how to read it.
Right, but that's the thing, isn't it? Like, sometimes I feel like I need a decoder ring or something.
It's true. It's like its own language.
Okay, so was there like one particular tell or whatever that stood out to you?
You know what? There was this one, and it surprised me to see it on the good body language list.
Okay.
It was like when someone breaks eye contact for a sec,
Oh.
but then, like, looks back at you, like, quickly.
Okay, I see. So not like full on avoiding your gaze.
No, not at all. Just these little breaks.
Because I thought we were supposed to like maintain eye contact at all costs, right?
Right. Classic dating advice.
So are these like micro breaks a good thing?
They can be, actually.
Really?
It might mean they're just, like, thinking about what you said, processing.
Oh, interesting.
Maybe they're even a little shy, with you looking at them so intently.
So it's not always a bad sign.
Not at all. Could be a good thing.
Okay, so it's not about having like a staring contest.
Oh.
It's about finding a balance, right?
Exactly. A nice natural flow.
Okay, this is all great stuff, but let's be real for a sec. Even with all the best advice in the world, sometimes things just get awkward.
It happens.
Right. And thankfully, this source gets that. Like, they actually gave examples of those awkward moments, like long silences or,
Spill.
Oh, yeah, spill's the worst.
The classic.
It's like, who hasn't been there, right?
Everyone's got a story.
Oh, I have the best awkward first date story.
Oh, you do?
Yep.
Okay, let's hear it.
Speaking of awkward moments.
Please tell me more. I want to hear this.
Okay, so picture this, right? I'm on this date, super cute. Things are actually going really well.
Okay.
We're vibing, having a good time. And then I, totally in a moment of pure clumsiness,
Uh-oh.
I knock over my entire water glass
No.
on the table.
Oh, no. The classic first date water spill.
It was so bad. And it wasn't like a little spill either.
I know.
It was like a tidal wave, I swear.
You're kidding.
Drenched everything.
Oh, my gosh.
Needless to say, the mood, the vibe, it all went
Downhill from there. Yeah.
totally down. It was impossible to recover from that.
Oh, I bet. But, it's funny because even though that specific situation might have been unsalvageable,
Yeah.
there are totally ways to bounce back from those awkward moments.
You're sure.
It all comes down to, humor,
Humor, yeah.
being able to laugh at yourself a little.
Easier said than done when you're trying to impress someone.
Oh, totally. But remember, a first date is about them checking you out
Right.
and you checking them out.
It goes both ways.
Exactly. So someone who can't appreciate a little awkwardness
Yeah.
or laugh off a spilled drink
Mm-hmm.
might not be the right fit for you anyway.
True. Okay, so let's assume we survived that first date, awkward moments and all.
You made it.
What happens next, right?
Yeah.
Because the date itself, it's not really the finish line, is it?
It's definitely not.
There's this whole other post-date world to navigate.
Oh, yeah, like a whole other game.
And this source, they actually had some really interesting thoughts on the art of the follow-up.
The follow-up, oh, it's a tricky one.
So tricky. Trying to strike that balance,
The balance, yes, you want to show you're interested,
Right.
but you don't want to seem too eager.
Exactly. And it's with texting and everything now.
Oh, it's a whole different ball game.
Right. What happened to just waiting for them to call you?
I know, right? Like the good old days.
It's all about analyzing text frequency now.
Oh, yeah, and emojis. Don't even get me started on emojis.
Oh, so many ways to overthink it.
Oh, truly.
But this source, they kept it pretty simple. They're all about sending a thoughtful text,
Yeah.
showing genuine interest, but not going overboard.
Makes sense.
Right. Nobody wants a novel after a first date.
A novel? No, keep it light.
Exactly. But let's say the follow-up goes well.
Oh,
You've navigated the texting maze.
you're a pro.
And then you hit it a red flag.
Ooh, red flags, everyone's favorite.
Right. And the source talked about how do you know
How you know? Yeah.
when it's a real deal breaker
Right.
versus just a difference in taste.
Or even just something quirky. Yeah.
It's a fine line,
For sure, because what if that flaw you think you see
Yeah.
is actually something you end up loving about them?
Right. You don't want to miss out.
Exactly. So I'm curious, for you, what's that one thing, that one red flag where you're just nope, deal breaker?
Ooh, good question. For me, it's got to be a lack of curiosity.
Okay, I like that. Tell me more.
I don't need someone with all the same interests as me, but I need someone who wants to learn, wants to try new things.
You need that mental spark.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Someone who keeps things interesting.
I love that.
Okay, so we have covered so much ground in this deep dive. It's amazing.
So much good stuff.
Seriously, from choosing the right location to deciphering body language.
All the subtle cues.
It's we've armed our listeners with everything they need for a successful first date.
And you know what? At the end of the day,
What's that?
the most important thing to remember is to just be yourself.
So true. Trying to be someone you're not is exhausting.
The worst. And
What's that?
when you're being genuine, you attract the people who are actually right for you.
It's authenticity is its own superpower or something.
100%.
This has been amazing. I feel like I need to go on a date right now.
I love it. Go put all this amazing advice to good use.
Right. Thanks for joining us for another deep dive. Until next time,